Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. I know there's a background noise. I'm running a fan here in the room. Of course, it's kind of warm. It's 7:46 in the morning on the 11th of June. Our weather, I believe, is going to get warm today. No, not too much. 90 degrees. It's 74 now. And tomorrow 92, then 93, 92, then down into the 80s. Pretty much normal. We'll have to run the AC probably. Uh, and that's about it. Well, we have a lot of stuff to cover today. A lot of stuff. We're going to talk about attacking Iran. We're going to talk about the sheer it's a comedy show, the negotiations with Iran. I don't know if Trump realizes he's making a complete idiot of himself and he's endangering the lives of America because he's making the Iranians understand how weak he thinks America is. He's endangering the lives of Americans with this idiot behavior of his. He would have done far better to just ignore Iran and their nuclear thing. He started it and he's afraid to finish it. Very stupid. This guy's a complete failure. People don't know it yet, but before the end of the summer, you'll wish you never heard his name. He's a complete failure. Now, Biden was, of course, a terrible person, so was Obama, but this guy is dangerous. He doesn't know his limits. Trump doesn't know his limits. So Greta Schmuckalovich got deported with 3 or 4 other people off that sailboat. They agreed, they signed the paper agreeing to deportation. There's, I think, 8 or 6, or maybe 8 of them that did not sign the paper, so we hold them for 96 hours and we get a magistrate or a judge in a court to issue a deportation order. And as soon as we have that, which could be today, it doesn't have to be 96 hours. I think it could be quicker, but it might take that long, or there might be a requirement to wait that much. It's 4 days. And then they'll take them and they'll just, help them pack and put them in a car and take them to the airport. And security will make sure they get on the plane and wait for the plane to take off. And that'll be that. So that's the end of that. I don't know what they're going to do with the boat. Destroy it? I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do with the boat. Probably nothing for a while. But, and I told you the other day, there's some land vehicles coming from Tunisia, Algeria, and Libya to try to break into Gaza through the Rafah crossing. And, yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I don't think there's significant numbers or anything like that. So I am not really focusing very much on that at all. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Okay, why the Jews that serve the unclean spirits are stupid as a dog's hind leg is crooked. I mean, they're so dumb to do this. And I'll go through history and show you what Satan does to the Jews that serve him. It's unbelievable. And they keep going back for more. They just love doing evil. They can't live without it. Stupid. And, okay, I'm going to go jump into the live stream and make sure we got a live stream and get my post up with a cut and paste, because that's pretty painless. And, okay, I'm going to go. Okay, we got sound and picture, and I got moderators and people coming in. Okay, now I'm gonna cut and paste something in the chat and then we're done. I tried, but didn't. What happened? Erased it. Somehow it erased it with this ghosting. The screen ghosts. Ah, what a mess. It's not even typing now. It's typing. This is just going to take a couple of seconds. I'm sorry. We got a problem with ghosting on this thing, and I think it's due to the cover, the protective thing I put on it that stops it from breaking if it falls. Best I could tell, that's what's causing it. So it's not really a malfunction. I suppose I could try to get a different cover, but it's probably going to do it again. I tried modifying the settings, no good. I don't think I'll ever buy another iPad or Apple product again. Ever. They used to be troublesome, but they've gotten beyond troublesome. They've gotten to be a joke. They're so bad. They're pathetic. I don't have any of these problems with the Samsung tablet I got that I'm broadcasting on. I don't have any of these issues. I gotta keep working on this. It's just a nightmare. It'll be a minute or two, I'm sorry. It's a defective device I got. Can't even type on this stupid thing. Alright, I got it now. If I could get the cut and paste, I'm in business. But you can't take anything for granted with this stinking iPad. The cut and paste doesn't want to cooperate, does it? Let's see if we can make it cooperate. It's a joke. I'm sorry, guys. I got a junky piece of equipment, and it's rather expensive to replace it. Every little thing with this thing is a nightmare. even getting it to cut and paste tonight. Let's see if I got it. I might have got it. I don't know. No, I don't think I got it. Let me just try to type it in instead of playing this idiot game with this stupid iPad piece of junk. Be here for 15 minutes with this piece of junk. I can't even type with this thing, it's so bad. Maybe I can do voice. PayPal.me/. No. Double struck a letter. You might have it. I got it finally. Oh gosh, I'm sorry guys. I'm working with a defective piece of equipment. All right. Yeah, using voice is a lot better, but I couldn't use it for the last part of my name. It doesn't do it. All right. Being a Bible-believing site, let's do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 First, I'd like to start off with a warning to all you Satan bots, servants of the unclean spirits that like to come here and listen to me. Those of you that live in many countries, including but not limited to the United States, are not going to be above ground very long. And your unclean spirit friends that you love so much know that, and they don't care about you. And they're not going to do a thing to help you. And when you start seeing this come to pass, I know you won't believe it today. I suggest you turn on these rotten, stinking pieces of garbage you call gods and deities and worship. Turn on them. Ask the Lord to forgive you. You're sorry for serving them. They're pieces of garbage. You've been deceived. Ask the Lord to forgive you. And then turn around and ask the Lord to severely punish them for what they did to you. That's what you should do. If you have enough time to make it. You know, you may not get out in time. But if you do, you're going to see it coming. You're going to see what they did to you. Then turn on them. Because they're worthy of being stomped on. Okay? They're just garbage. Pure garbage. And they're out to try to drag you to the lake of fire where they're going. And you don't know it. You're deceived. And your deception is so deep, you think you're deities, you think you're the elect. Satan's chosen people are Islam. And when they're killing you, you're going to understand that. Okay? That's it. And the Jews are even stupider for serving the unclean spirits. Look what Hitler did to them. Look what Stalin did to them. Look at all the countries of the world that threw them out of their countries, confiscated their goods, and they still serve these unclean spirits. People are basically stupid, Okay, that's it. If they're with the Lord, they're not stupid anymore. If they're not with the Lord, it appears they behave stupidly. I have no other way to explain it to you. So if you want to keep serving them, you're going to be sorry. Okay, we got a prayer request for SF, Sierra Foxtrot. SF, Sierra Foxtrot. Prayer request is for good results on a medical test and to know the Lord. SF, good results on a medical test and to know the Lord. Next, for PC, Papa Charlie, PC, Papa Charlie, PC, pain relief and healing from shingles. PC, Papa Charlie, pain relief and healing from shingles. Okay. Let me see if I could delete this stuff so I know I did it already. Get a cut and paste going out of this stupid thing. Let's try it again. Hold this. Okay. All right. France, Poland, Romania, Germany. No. Forget that. That's from World War II. I was talking again. Okay. Serving Satan is not the unforgivable sin. You can repent and leave him. Okay, blaspheming the Holy Spirit is. And if you really did blaspheme the Holy Spirit, did you really do it? Did you know what you were doing? Just saying the words doesn't necessarily mean you knew what you were doing, does it? The UK has reportedly imposed sanctions on Israeli cabinet ministers Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, the right-wing guys, over their hardline stance towards Hamas and Gaza. They've put sanctions on them. I don't know if these sanctions are going to have any effect um, at all, because they don't have assets in these countries. Now, it wasn't just the UK, it was Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and it was one or two others, I think, as well, imposed these sanctions on Ben Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich. This, in my mind, would explain the large amount of fires in Canada right now. What's going on with Australia, New Zealand, and the other countries, Great Britain, putting sanctions on Israeli politicians for trying to protect Israel from its enemies, is a little bit on the sick side, but that's the way they're rolling. Israel struck in Yemen yesterday in the port of Hodeidah, however the heck you pronounce it. That's one of their big ports near Sanaa, I believe, where they used to transport weapons from Iran. A Israeli Navy warship at considerable distance from there, hundreds of kilometers, launched 2 precision missiles that struck their targets and caused a lot of damage to the port and the infrastructure. Nothing happened to the Israeli ship. So Israel is now threatening Yemen with a blockade by sea and by air. So what Israel did was give them a demonstration of our naval warship capability, which is rather substantial. And we told them we're going to put a naval blockade on them and an air blockade on them, so nothing's going to get in and out. Thus, the siege on Israel. You see how it works? They'll return the favor to us, the other Arab states, probably something like that. We'll watch and see. So we struck from a few hundred kilometers away. The Los Angeles mayor put a curfew on Los Angeles last night. I think it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, which would be daylight, of course, this time of year in LA, until 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's not martial law, that's a curfew. This could be the preemptor of martial law, but the ICE protests are now in New York City, they're in Atlanta, and they're in Chicago protests. And in Chicago, the bomb squad was called for an improvised explosive device. Now, I don't know if the IED was really an IED, and yet, if they really found one, or they found a suspicious shoebox and somebody put an alarm clock in it or something and it was ticking, I don't know what happened yet. But if they're using IEDs, this is taking things to a whole new level rather quickly. Now, this is a massive war drum regarding attacking Iran. What I'm going to tell you right now, it's as big can be. The United States, Germany, Great Britain, and France. United States, Germany, Great Britain, or the UK, and France, 4 major powers, have submitted a formal resolution to the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, to declare Iran a violator of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. I don't know if this treaty's still in effect. I believe it would be. So they want to get justification for their own parliaments, their own people, their own political purposes, and to alleviate international pressure. They want to get the watchdog official agency, the IAEA, to say Iran is in violation, which they've said. They said they have enough material to make 10 nuclear bombs, okay? The IAEA said that, and they're making uranium at a very high percentage level, 60%. I think 60%, and the civilian level is something like 3.7%. So, I'm pretty sure the IAEA is going to do this. I don't know why they wouldn't. And this is going to be the alibi, as I told you many months ago. The war in Iran, the trigger for the war, or the alibi or excuse, is going to be the nuclear stuff. Okay? So the situation has escalated. Now, allegedly, Trump, now I'm hearing so much talk about this. Trump has a meeting with Iran on Thursday, then I'm hearing it's Friday, and I'm hearing there's another meeting on Sunday. Does he really have a meeting with Iran? I don't even know. I really don't know. I'm not sure. I think he does. Well, the Trump administration does. I think so, but I can't guarantee it. I don't know. It's so vague. He can't, if he's going to meet with him on Thursday, why would he meet again on Sunday? Okay, well, this is what Iran is saying. Iran is saying, you want us to downgrade our nukes, get Israel to get rid of their nukes first. And then the Middle East will be a nuclear-free zone. And when you get them to get rid of their nukes, we'll agree to civilian levels of enrichment of uranium. Or words to that effect. Then they came up with a stack of papers that they said are secret documents explaining Israel's nuclear program and where everything is kept. And then Israel said, we have no such documents. So Trump then says yesterday, oh, I don't know, I'm disappointed in Iran. They're acting way more aggressively than they did before, but I still think getting a treaty with them is possible, and we're going to continue negotiations. Now, this is standard Satan bot political procedure. You negotiate, if you don't get it, you go back, and 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 you never give up. Okay? That's their idea of negotiations. Satan teaches them to make sure they get a good hot spot in the lake of fire, so to speak, to never give up. Okay? These people that follow the unclean spirits are dumb as a bag of hammers. But they think they're gods. You could defeat them with a $6.99 pair of mirrored sunglasses at Amazon, full mirror, and all their eye contact crap doesn't work, yet they think they got so much power. It's unbelievable how dumb they are. They're so dumb, blinded. It's unbelievable. And the unclean spirits stab them in the back, and they just love it. Stick that knife in me and twist it. I love you, unclean spirits. It's just so sick. So sick. So, Trump is likely going to make a move, but he's scared to death. But now he has, the UK, Germany, France with him. He's got Israel with him, and he'll pick up another two or three. So they're trying to get everything, all their ducks in order to attack Iran. And Trump knows what's going to happen when he attacks Iran. Can Israel do something? Forget the nuclear facilities. That's not your primary target. They don't have nukes. Nobody does. Forget it. Guys, if they had nukes, they would have used them years ago. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were fuel bombs in the air, just like they used in Dresden and Hamburg weeks before. The damage was identical to Tokyo, which was hit with those fuel bombs. There was none. I've covered this so many times. You can go look at Nuke hoax and YouTube and see videos. But let's continue. They believe in this. Okay, is there nuclear power plants? Sure. But everybody, all these guys that want to sell you survival food and EMP devices and water supply and iodine pill, they're all talking about this. They're very calm about it. Yeah, they're about to get blown up. They're Satan bots. What do you think they are? They don't. Yeah. All right, moving along. Could Israel do anything to stop the missile cities from firing hundreds and hundreds of missiles? Yeah, but I don't know if it's feasible. They'd have to come in with special forces on the ground, and there's up to 12 of these missile cities. Each missile city has multiple entrances / exits. Could be as many as 6 or 10 or 12 or 18, we don't know. So if you blow the entrances up with our sponge bombs and block the entrances, does that stop the missile city from working? No. It'll still fire missiles. Yeah, I don't know how Israel could put boots on the ground commandos to do something like this, because there's such a huge military and paramilitary in Iran. I don't see it. It has to be strikes by rockets and missiles. That's all I can think of. They could come from boats, they could come from planes, but they're not going to, I don't believe boots on the ground is highly feasible. Israel's not going to try something stupid like that that's going to cause a problem for them. Israel's not going to do that. So I don't think it's dirt in here. Piece of food or something. I don't know what it was. I don't think Israel's going to risk the lives of special forces soldiers for some crazy thing like this. You got exfiltration problems after they strike, and the Iranians know they're there. They're going to come after them with tanks and armor and everything. I don't know how you can do that. I don't think so. I mean, the other problem is they're going to need massive amount of explosives. So if they come in, they're not going to be able to, give a soldier a backpack with 40 pounds of explosives. That's not going to work. They're going to need thousands of pounds of explosives. So I don't understand how this operation would work. They're going to get a pallet of 20,000 pounds of explosives and parachute it in with them and hope it lands okay and it doesn't blow up. And I don't know how to do it. I think it's got to be air attack or sea attack. You have to take out the ships, the Iranian ships that can launch missiles and drones. And you have to take the radar out first. And they got mobile radar, which is difficult to take out. Can be done. So if America has Israel, America, Germany, France, and the UK, 5 countries involved, yeah, it gets a lot more feasible. And I believe they'll pick 2 or 3 more countries up along the way. They might get India, but I doubt it. They could get Italy. That would be possible. Poland, Romania may help, but I don't know what they have to fight with that would be useful. Spain might get in, Portugal, Spain, maybe. Some of the Nordic countries, I don't know. Norway also put sanctions on Ben Gvir and Smotrich, by the way. So these countries that are putting the sanctions on the Israeli politicians, watch what happens to them. Everything's heating up to a crescendo and it's going to pop. Okay. So, I don't know, I mean, how much time is Netanyahu going to keep putting up with Trump and his idiot negotiations? At this point, it's a joke. You have to look at the Trump negotiations as comical. It's a joke. But it's not funny for the Americans because he's endangering the lives of Americans, because the Iranians and their allies are seeing Trump as a weak buffoon. You heard me right, a weak buffoon. And it's going to encourage them to attack America, the homeland. What the heck do you think you're seeing with all these protests? You think these foreign countries are not behind it, not giving money and training and advice? Come on. On Saturday, they're going to spread these protests throughout the whole United States. Every state's going to have it. Northern Ireland has some immigration riots going on over there. 15 policemen were injured during the night. And I think, it's hard for me to get clarity on this, I think the people are protesting against the immigrants because some of these immigrants recently did some bad things to some women in Ireland, Northern Ireland. So there's some problems brewing over there that I don't think are related to what's going on in the Middle East or Ukraine and Russia. Although it could be related to the Middle East. Because guess who these immigrants were that did something bad to the women, right? What do you think they were? 99% chance you know what they are. Okay. Stupid Netanyahu is running around saying, oh, I don't know, we're going good with negotiations with Gaza, maybe we'll get a hostage deal. What an idiot to talk like that. They're saying Trump told Netanyahu Iran's off limits now and wrap up the Gaza war. I don't really know if Trump said that or not, maybe. Remember, Australia sanctioned our politicians, so you're going to see bad stuff happen there too, and New Zealand. Eurostar vows to run direct trains from the UK to Germany and Switzerland. I don't know what the big deal is about that. People are getting infatuated with artificial intelligence again. Maybe you guys could hit the thumbs up button. It's a very minor effort that takes you 2 or 3 seconds, and it could help with the channel, spread the message to more new people. So is that too much to ask you to hit the like button, which will take you 2 or 3 seconds? I would appreciate it. Let me see if we have any questions here. Someone says, I hate these protests. They're more than protests this time, guys. It's not hard to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Is China sending Navy ships to the United States? What China did is they put 2 aircraft carriers with 20 escort warships in the Western Pacific. Are they chugging towards the United States? I have heard nothing to that effect. Nothing. They seem to be focusing around Guam, which is a big American military base. But I believe they're just positioning. I don't think they're going to attack anything. Okay? I don't think anybody's attacking. I could be wrong, but it doesn't look that way. So, before we had all these protests, Iran said they were going to launch their sleeper agents in America and other countries, and now look what happened in America. Do you think it might just be Iran? Come on, wake up. What do you think? And look how they're treating Trump. Don't you see that what's going down on Saturday is going to be at least 50 to 100 cities loaded with protesters that are nasty and ugly, and they all want to loot because that's their reward. So to get to the point of looting, they have to be nasty and starting fires and blocking traffic on freeways and throwing stuff at cars and burning police cars and, get it all up to a heavy crescendo, and then they start the looting, and then the people like that because they could make thousands of dollars of goods. They could sell the stuff to their friends, they could sell it on eBay, barter it with other people that looted. Yeah. Got it? So, it's going to get uglier and uglier and uglier, and the media is not telling you the full scope of it. It must be in at least 6 cities right now. At least. San Francisco's had it. Atlanta's got it. I mean, it's in Dallas, Houston. Um, it's in 2 Florida cities, Tampa and another one, I believe, or just Tampa. I mean, it's in New York City. Guys, this is so serious. Okay? They are trying to make Trump stop deporting the illegal aliens, which include 60 to 70% of them are sleeper agents that want to destroy the United States. They want to help them destroy the United States. Even though the sleeper agents may destroy them too. That's how Satan works. He stabs those that serve him and worship him in the back. He is not a God. He is not a faithful, unclean spirit. He's a piece of crap. And you people that are serving him are pathetic, and you're in such a deception you don't know it. But you're going to have all of eternity to think about how stupid you are, and you're probably going to play back in your mind what I just told you in these last few seconds. But you can save yourself. He can't hurt you. Okay? Has he ever done anything to me in all these years, really? You can free yourself from him. I know you're not going to go to the churches or the Messianic congregations. You know they belong to Satan. We both know that. But you don't need to worry. You just get by yourself, ask Father God Jehovah to forgive you, and tell him you want to live forever. You want to repent of this and get healed of this and ask him to forgive you in Yeshua's name. And that's all it's going to take, and he'll protect you. It doesn't matter what the unclean spirits want. Look at me. Okay? Look at what I'm talking to you about. I'm talking about the unthinkable. Who else talks like me? Huh? Who else teaches spiritual warfare like me? You figuring it out yet? The end for them comes. You want to be with them? The end for them comes. Think about it. When was the last time you saw somebody like me emerge? When? Huh? With real Bible prophecy, not the comic book crap they teach in the churches and the Messianic congregations. Did you figure out you got the writing on the wall yet? Your doom is at the doors. But you can repent out of it. If you want to. And you may not be ready to do it today, but you're going to get ready in the next coming days. When you start seeing it, and remember that Satan stabbed you in the back and twisting the knife around in your back and saying, "Oh, enjoy the knife twisting in your back. It's good for you." He's a psychotic. Don't you get it? And so are his minions that follow him. They're mentally ill. They've been thrown. They're destroyed, and they know it. And they just want to hurt God. So they want to take as many humans as they possibly can to the lake of fire with them. That's all they're trying to do. It's stupid. It's like a little child. They're like children. Because they're mentally defective. And that's who you run around serving. Well, watch what happens in the next few days. You'll see. So, how many National Guard is Trump going to have to, produce? I mean, he's just put them. He got 700 Marines, I'm hearing, and 4,000 National Guard. That's 4,700 just for L.A. Have they quieted L.A. down yet? No. I don't know how effective their evening curfew has been. So it's very difficult. Okay, when you do a curfew, you got to be off the streets, right? So if you go walk your dog, are you off the streets? No. Will the police arrest you for walking your dog? I don't know. I doubt it. They probably will yell at you on the loudspeakers from the patrol car to get off the street. And if you don't, they'll tell you, well, we're going to come back through here. If we see you, we're going to lock you up or something. You know? But there's a lot of people that are going to go to work at night in a curfew. Fire, medical workers, pharmacy workers, could be supermarket people, people that are in 7-Eleven gas stations, people that work out of the city limit. You know, I mean, there's going to be a reduction in traffic probably by 65, 75%, but there's still going to be people moving around. Okay, firemen, ambulance, maybe sanitation workers, all kinds of people could work at night. You know, garbage collection. I don't know what extent, you know, of tolerance they're going to have for people working at night, you know. If you work for the city, the county, the state, or the Fed, and you're required to go to work at night, you're going to go to work. You know, a lot of people go to work in spite of a curfew. So a curfew is not martial law. Okay. It's not martial law. So I don't know what really happened yet. We'll find out later today. The mayor could declare a curfew and then tell the police, look, you know, if they break the curfew, yell at them with the loudspeaker in the car, and you know, try to scare them and stuff, but don't arrest them. We don't want to increase tensions, you know. Trump is saying that they're going to shoot. You know, we're hearing from some cities slogans, you loot, we shoot. Okay? See, that's a pretty normal thing. Like in Florida, if you had to evacuate for a hurricane, the sheriff and the police would stay around and patrol, and if they saw people coming around to loot the houses, you know, they wouldn't just, hey, look, this guy's breaking into the house, and they stop the car and they go boom and shoot him in the back. You know, they yell at the guy and, you know, tell him not to move, and if he started to run away, they might shoot him. But their first approach would be freeze, you know. Then they would deal with him not as a burglar. Normally they don't shoot a burglar unless he has a weapon or, you know, something like that. They're not going to shoot at the guy. If he's just running, they're normally going to just let him run and chase him and stuff like that. But so that's going to escalate the protests. They're going to come back harder at Trump. Saturday is the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, and it also is President Trump's birthday. So they really picked the right day to do this, didn't they? So, you know, by this weekend, they're not going to be in 6 or 7 cities. Probably before Saturday, they're going to be in 12 or 15 cities, the way it's been spreading. And then I would expect you'll have at least 100 cities on Saturday. Now, a lot of them are not going to be that vicious, but some of them will be. They already started work in New York and Atlanta. in a lot of big cities. They're really digging deep in LA because there's a lot of illegals in LA. And there are in New York too, because these are basically sanctuary cities. And there's a lot of places like that. And that's where they don't want ICE working. Because ICE is going into the sanctuary cities where if the local police interdicted someone on the street for some reason and they couldn't present any ID, they wouldn't turn them over to immigration. They would just, ignore them or give them a notice to appear in court for some misdemeanor, or which they'd never show up for, or whatever. What's your name? Gregorio, Javier, whatever, right? And, okay, then how do you spell that? And they'd write it out. Whatever name the guy gave them. If he said, my name is Jose Jimenez, they'd write Jose Jimenez on the citation. But these people don't want protest. They want destruction. They want looting. They want fires. They want police cars burned. They want cops hurt. They want it painful. They don't want it to go away. They want Trump to stop deporting illegal immigrants. That's what they're after. They're not after a cessation of the protests. They're not trying to make a protest point and then stop. They want it so painful for Trump that he can't proceed. Now, will this weaken the United States? Yes. Will this make it easier for them to attack the United States? Well, it depends on what kind of an attack you mean. If it means come with warships and aircraft carriers, no. Because the Navy and the Air Force are not going to be hard at work stopping the protesters, okay? So no, it's not going to make it really easier. But if the sleeper agents get launched and start attacking the Navy bases and the Air Force bases and the Coast Guard bases from inside America, that will open the door for America to be attacked. The civilian, let's call them that, protesters, are going to take a lot of the heat and cause a lot of turmoil in America. Then the sleepers will hit the American bases and cause a lot of death and destruction and get weapons. And they'll distribute the weapons to themselves, protesters, whatever. We don't know exactly how it's going to operate yet. But they can sufficiently weaken the American capability to defend itself by air and by sea. Now, they can't do anything about the Navy ships that are already deployed in the water. They can't attack them. They're, at sea. What are they going to do? They can attack the bases with planes. The military might have enough brains to launch a certain amount of planes, but probably not, because they're going to see this not a military attack, a terrorism attack. America's never had to deal with this before. In World War II, which is, 80 years ago or something, they had a lot of problems where they were afraid that we were going to, get attacked, and sneak attacks and stuff like that. But they mobilized completely differently, and like what they did in San Francisco by the Pacific Ocean where the beach is near Cliff House, if you know where that is. They built paper mache rock faces. Of course, there were cliffs over there, that's why they call it Cliff House, which is a bar. In recent years became a lesbian meeting place, but it used to be if you go back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was a tourist attraction bar. I think in the late 80s or 90s it started converting into a lesbian bar, but it was just a tourist attraction. Nobody really that lived in San Francisco ever went there. It's right at the edge of the cliff, and you can watch the waves and the seals and all that. It's quite scenic, but it was always for tourists. Nobody went there. But a few hundred yards down the road, at most maybe 200 yards or something, they built phony rocks out of paper mache, and inside the rocks they put gun embankments, artillery pieces. I think they basically were using 5-inch guns, which is pretty serious artillery shell. It could go several miles. It's not going to go 20 miles. It may go 6, 8, 10 miles or something. And it wouldn't be highly accurate because it wasn't run by radar. It was controlled with optical sights. So the guys would need to get a line of sight on a warship coming to the shores, and they would break the paper machete if something happened, go in there. They had civilian defense people that were trained by the military in how to use these guns. Okay? Now, I don't know how many they put there, probably 3 or 4 in the rock face. There used to be an amusement park there. I don't remember the name of the amusement park. It was gone around 1970, which is about when I got there. I think it had already closed, or shortly thereafter closed. It was never anything like a grandiose amusement park. It was a little rinky-dinky thing. It had 10, 12 rides or something, and, 15 rides. It was no big deal, like county fair level rides, And they might have built that after World War II, I don't remember. But America doesn't do things like this anymore, okay? They don't do stuff like this. There were people that were given artillery pieces, they kept them in their yard that were near the water. There's these very expensive houses in San Francisco in a neighborhood called the Marina, which is rather close to the water. There's a piece of land that's probably 150 to 200 yards from the water to the houses. And they put a short wall up there with rocks, not very high at all, maybe 6 feet, 5, 6 feet. The idea was to stop torpedoes. During World War II, they would see Japanese and German submarines surface around San Francisco, and they were afraid they were going to shoot torpedoes, and the torpedo would come out of the water, because there was something like a beach there, and would jump on the lawn and go 100, 150 yards, traveling across the lawn, and hit the people's houses and blow them up in their houses, which is really rather silly, but it could conceivably happen. So they built this rock wall over there so the torpedoes would hit the rock wall and blow up and not kill anybody in their house. Now, that I think they built the wall for 2 reasons. One, psychological for the people. Number 2, it probably had some basis in reality. Of course, the Submarines had deck guns, which were, a lot of times it was just a 3-inch gun, which is not a very powerful gun at all. And then they had also 5-inch guns and 6-inch guns. And some submarines had a 3-inch gun and a 5-inch gun. I don't think they put 8-inch guns on a submarine. That'd be too much gun for a submarine. But I think they were able to get up to 5-inch guns. So they could have trained their deck guns. Some submarines, depending on the country, had 2 deck guns. Some had 1. And most of them had machine guns in the range of a 50 caliber that would be on a little bipod, and they could lay down on the deck with the gun and fire as a machine gun, a heavy machine gun, that would have a range of easily over a mile. So they could have used their deck guns to shell the houses if they wanted to, but it never happened. So the value of these houses during World War II descended tremendously. People didn't want them. I think there were people that during the war didn't even want to live there. They moved to another house or something. But then after the war, the value of this house has started to go up, and today they're very, very, very expensive houses because they're in a beautiful location, you know. But San Francisco became a cesspool, so I don't know much about property values anymore in San Francisco, but they destroyed themselves. After World War II, they were a pretty normal place. And then I don't know when it happened. I think in the 60s, they started dedicating themselves to tourism more than they ever did before. And it was the hippie invasion in the latter 60s. And then it just became, everything became crazy tourism. The Cannery, Pier 39, all these sites, Coit Tower, all sorts of stuff. And it just became tourism, with tourism, with tourism, with tourism, with the cable cars. I used to ride the cable cars when I was in graduate school. It's 25 cents. I used to take it to college, graduate school. 25 cents. Today it's $5 to ride the cable car. And you got to wait on massive lines. I just used to see the cable car. I'd run out from my house, jump on the cable car, and wait till the guy came and asked me for the money, and I gave him 25 cents. Yeah. They destroyed themselves with chasing tourism. See, you could ruin a community with tourism easily. There's a place in Florida I'm familiar with called Panama City. It's a beach, and it is called the Redneck Riviera, and it destroyed itself. When I was in college in Florida, I used to go there. It was very rural. Not many people lived there. It was beautiful. It was quaint, and you could drive around and you could see the water from the road, and you could just stop your car on the road and go to the beach and put a blanket down and have a nice time on the beach. Today, or even going back 20 years ago, or 25 or 30 years ago, you can't see the water when you drive by because they built so many hotels and motels and bars and restaurants and shops. You can't see the water, and there really is next to no beach available for you. They have a few pieces of land where there's maybe a quarter of a mile or a half a mile of beach for the people. I think there's maybe 2 places like that where they have very small, limited parking. So if you really want to use the beach and you go on a weekday and it's not a holiday and it's not in season, you can park your car and go walk around on the beach without much difficulty whatsoever at those free spots, right? But if it's anything resembling peak season or holidays, or you've got to go get a hotel at high prices and use the the piece of beach that that hotel has, or that motel has. Or there's they built condominiums there, and the condominiums have a piece of beach. So if you own the condominium, you can use that beach, or if you rent it for the weekend or something, you can use that beach. So they destroyed the community, and it's not a community anymore, it's just a tourist dump. And there are people that live there, but the quality of life there is stupid. They can live near the beach, but you can't use the beach unless you use those two public strips. And you know how many people actually live near that. So you can't really use the beach because it's all owned by hotels and motels. Although I think they don't have the right to tell you you can't use the beach. I think it's public. Generally, that's how Florida works. But this is a community that was destroyed. They just destroyed it. The people that own the businesses have taken over the government, and they're constantly shutting the streets for parades, you know, not protest parades, to celebrate something. And that's it. And then when you get into the off season, the winter, which I would say starts November and finishes in March, there's nobody there. Uh, the motels generally stay open because what's involved, they have a couple that are caretakers there and a maid that comes in because there's almost nobody there. Or they even close the hotels, maybe, I don't even know. And there's nobody there because the weather's cold and windy and rainy, and nobody really wants to use the beach. So it's a ghost town. And there's a few restaurants and bars and stuff that stay open, and you know, there's nothing there. It's a big nothing, you know. They got small amusement attractions there. It's, you know, there's a super Walmart there that does very well because the people that stay in the hotels and the motels and rent the condos, they go to Super Walmart and they buy stuff to eat and drink. So that hurt a lot of the little businesses, but a lot of the people don't want to get in the car and drive all the way to Super Walmart, so they just walk near where the hotels and the motels are, and they got little grocery stores, and they go in there and buy junk to eat, you know. But you can destroy a community, and that's what they did with San Francisco. They destroyed it. They just destroyed it, and they got into what they were calling gay tourism, where they started having underage male prostitutes on the street, and the cops were leaving them alone. I saw it. I saw kids, teenage boys, hooking on the street a million times, and the cops would just drive by and leave them alone. And then they had more organized services, which was done on the phone, and you know, they had all these gay bars, lesbian bars, where they had lines waiting to get in. And, you know, people that were of a gay persuasion came from other parts of the country and the world to see all this and experience it because they didn't have it in their hometown. So, you know, tourism is tourism, whatever the theme is. And when you push the tourism too much, you ruin the community. And that's what they did to San Francisco. You know, they just destroyed it. It used to be a really nice place, and they just ran everything for tourism. And you know, it got the Chinese people did it right. They moved into a neighborhood Actually, two neighborhoods. They were always in Chinatown for a million years, the 1800s. But then they moved into an area called the Avenues, which was of low desire. When they were leaving Hong Kong in the 80s and 70s, they came to uh, San Francisco, and they bought up this neighborhood. So they knew they were going to all stay there forever, and they just bought it up, and they didn't sell it, and they have their community, and they got themselves immunized from what the real estate people were doing. But anyway, so I think you're going to see the beginning of the destruction of Daughter of Babylon in the coming days between now and Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You're going to see it. It's starting. Now, the protesters are more than likely working with the sleeper agents. It would be shocking to me that they're not. Shocking. And I think that the sleeper agents are waiting and watching to see how this goes. Protesters are not highly reliable. You don't know what they're going to do. And you don't know what the police are going to do in different cities either. You don't know. In some cities, they'll shoot looters. In other cities, they'll just stand there and watch. Okay? In some cities, they'll let the protesters throw Molotovs and rocks at the police, and they'll just hide behind their shields and run away. In other cities, they'll shoot back at them and kill them. When they start shooting the protesters, which will happen with Trump, that's when things are going to light up. It happened during Vietnam. Not a lot, but it happened. It happened with the black protest riots in the earlier 60s. They were getting shot. The cops were going with German Shepherd dogs and sicking the dogs on them. I don't think they'll do that today, but they did that back then, and there were shootings, and they disappeared people. You're going to see this kind of stuff again. Oh, you'll see it again. Oh, yeah. It'll happen again. Oh, yeah, it'll happen again. Today, tomorrow, the day after, you'll see it. I don't know how Trump's going to handle it. I really don't know. I don't have any confidence in Trump anymore, watching the way he dealt with the Houthis and just surrendered to the Houthis, basically, and how he's dealing with Iran. And Iran sees it, and they're playing with Trump. They're making a mockery out of him. They're circling their wagons around Trump's wagons, and they're gonna hurt Trump, and which means you Americans are gonna get hurt. Trump is very, very incompetent, and he doesn't know it, and that's dangerous. You have to know your own limits. Okay? If you're a great martial arts fighter, you might know you can fight two people at the same time, depending on their training level. You might even be able to handle a third person, depending on how competent they are. But you're not going to, no matter who you are, you're not going to handle 7 or 8 people. Okay? And you're not going to handle 3 or 4 people coming at you with knives or baseball bats or, you know. So you got to know your own limits, and I don't think Trump knows his own limits. If the war proceeds with Iran, I am thinking it's highly probable they'll destroy Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia to varying extents, oil refineries and American bases and ports and piers. And they'll probably shut the Straits of Hormuz with landmines or some other things. And they'll probably try to attack Diego Garcia. And yeah, they're going to get their head handed to them for sure, but they can create a lot of problems. See, the thing is, you can't, if Israel hits the over-the-horizon radar, the chances is very high that Iran can't send missiles over 1,000 miles into Israel with any accuracy. But the chances of Iran hitting Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE is exceptionally high because it's generally under 200 miles, and they can launch from naval vessels, drones and missiles. They can launch from the land. They got container ships that launch missiles and drones and disguised, and and they can make the oil prices go crazy. So everything's going to kind of converge at the same time. Okay? It's going to be, everything's going to overwhelm them at one time. So it looks to me, knowing the timing, that this is very, very serious for the United States, and this is the beginning of the end of them. Okay? That's what I think. These people are not going to just show up and wave signs and quit. They want destruction. They want looting. They want burning. They want injured cops. They want to make an impact to stop Trump's deportation of the illegals. And Trump is not in any mood to do that. And that's your conflict. And it's here. It's not coming. It's here. Yeah, the tourism in the United States is 10%. Yeah, most of the United States doesn't have any serious tourism. I mean, Los Angeles does. Orlando, Florida area, Miami, Florida, New York, but tremendous parts of the United States have next to nothing in terms of the tourist industry. It's Flag Day, yeah. That's true too. Trump's birthday, 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, and Flag Day. I'd appreciate it if you guys could spend 2 or 3 seconds and hit the thumbs up bell. Hit the thumbs up for me. I mean, is that asking too much to ask you to take 2 or 3 seconds to do that? I'm not even asking you to subscribe. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. But please hit the thumbs up bell. I don't think that's asking too much. So I intend to cover this avidly, and there'll probably be emergency live streams coming in the coming days, so you might want to subscribe if you want to get the live streams. Everything may converge all at the same time. America, Iran, stuff with China, North Korea, Russia. I mean, it could all happen. I would expect it to converge at about the same time. So, but you better realize you're hitting critical mass here in America. The people behind these protests want Trump out of office. They want to go back to lunatic land with Obama and Biden. That they want a world like that. And it's here. They've started. It's not they're going to start. They likely start. No, it's started. Los Angeles, I mean, you could go find videos. There's fires all over the place. It's when the Lord says in Jeremiah 50:51, I will kindle fires in and about your cities. Could this mean the protesters? Well, very likely. Why? It's not easy to start fires in cities. Could the Lord do it? Absolutely. Fire, brimstone, whatever. Absolutely he could do it. But could he also use protesters to start fires too? Sure. It's not that easy to start fires in modern high-rise structures, but you could burn a lot of cars and other things. I don't know. Got to watch and wait. Cars are an easy target for arsonists. Remember, if the police start shooting the protesters, it's going to get bad fast. And they may start shooting back. And this thing in Chicago about an IED is rather troubling. If they start using improvised explosive devices, that's pretty scary because they're going to start blowing the police up. And then the police could freak out and go out of control. So, look, all we can do now is wait and watch. And you can pray if you want. And speaking of prayer, please pray. We've been seeing snakes on our property. And pray we don't get any more. Some of these snakes, it could be poisonous. We don't know yet. We haven't had a good look at it, at the one we saw yesterday. But pray that we don't get any more snakes on our property. We'd appreciate that. And pray for me and my wife for peace, safety, protection, joy, healing of our bodies, and pray that somehow my wife can get a cryo machine. They're quite costly. I don't know how. Stretching my faith. To get one is about a good $50,000. So we can't buy one. So pray that my wife can get a cryo machine somehow. I don't know how. Pray for that our bodies keep healing and our finances hold up. And pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues to be happy, healthy, and whole. And we don't want any of our animals having encounters with snakes either. So pray for that. We never really used to see snakes on the property. I don't know what's causing it. There's some construction work nearby, maybe 100, 150 yards away, and it might be spooking them. And there's some land that's not occupied. They might be coming out of there. I don't know what it is. It's unusual. So, we don't know. There was bombing yesterday. Well, we heard a lot of artillery. I didn't know where it was coming from. That could have spooked the snakes too. It was either there was fighting in Syria or the IDF was doing exercises. I don't know which it was yet. We did practice attacks, what they're saying is on Iran, by the border between Syria and Iraq, and I don't believe that's a correct depiction. What we were doing was practicing attacks on Iraq, because we got to take the Iraqi radar out, or they could try to launch missiles at us and drones. So we got to knock out the Iraqi radar when we're on our way to Iran. And we got to clear the passage for our jets to pass through without getting fired on. So that's what we were really doing. But it is getting ready for the attack on Iran. Syria doesn't have any radar that would threaten us. They don't have any radar that left anymore that's going to take down our planes. So that's no problem there. But we got to clean out the radar in Iraq, at least open a corridor for us to pass through, but we'll probably take it out altogether. The Hezbollah in Lebanon can't do anything of any substance, neither can Hamas in Gaza. And the Houthis could try launching, we just knock them down, 99% of them. But Israel's getting very aggressive with the Houthis, which is Jeremiah 49. The Houthis is Yemen, which is Edom in the Bible, and we destroy it and take the remnant as our possession, slaves, if you will. So Yemen's going to go by us, by our hands. Somebody might help us, but I don't think so. And Iran's going to go at the hand of multiple enemies. So it's looking good for Iran to go. And Trump may be holding off, waiting for these things to come to pass with the IAEA and get all his allies together in a coalition and move warships and aircraft here as a final attempt to scare Iran and then attack. And we'll have to watch all that. So, thank you for the prayers. Sometimes I think we ride on your prayers. And pray for better videos with more insights into prophecy. But this looks like Jeremiah 50:51 is right at the doors, guys. Okay? That's what it looks like. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and the time is short. And just to remind you, once Yeshua appears, we have everlasting life, which is not immortality. But that begins the second 70 of Daniel 9:24. So you have a 70-year period roughly, and then Yeshua returns with New Jerusalem, and there's no death in New Jerusalem. It says so in Revelation 21 or 22. So the chances of you guys never dying by, that see Yeshua in the clouds, appearing in the clouds, is extremely high. So you're basically sliding into home plate. There's going to be people that fall away towards the end of the second 70, but that should not be you guys. And once you get into Jerusalem, you have eternal life. You don't die anymore, but you don't have that spiritual body. So at the end, when Father God Jehovah comes down after the millennium's over, your body gets changed to a different kind of body, I suppose, and then you go up to heaven on a cloud, like Yeshua went up, like the two witnesses go up. And then you go up that way. So. So the Lord's pretty careful about watching everything closely these days, believe me, including you all. And He's working out your salvation. And that's what I got for today. Please hit the thumbs up. I don't think that's asking for too much. It takes you 2 seconds. And we had 32 people hit the thumbs up. Well, that means a lot of people don't want to hit the thumbs up. All right. I'm out, guys. Thank you.